Room 36 had been locked for over 10 years. Most students didn't even know it existed. The hallway it sat in had been turned into a storage wing. Outdated AV carts, broken science equipment, cardboard boxes full of textbooks with curled pages and faded covers. But that spring, a schedule glitch forced the school to temporarily reopen the room. A surge in new enrollment meant more desks, more space. And someone had the bright idea to dust off a classroom the school had long since forgotten. No one volunteered to teach in room 306. The administration assigned a temporary rotating staffer, Ms. Connors, to monitor the space during homeroom and last period overflow. Her job was mostly to make sure students didn't burn the place down. But even she avoided spending too much time inside. The air's just wrong, she told her coworkers. It's too still. Like something's waiting. When Devin Ruiz was placed in that room for silent study block, he didn't care. He liked quiet. Room 306 was far from the chaos of the cafeteria, and it gave him an excuse to zone out for 50 minutes. He brought a notebook, some earbuds, and settled into a desk in the back corner. He noticed something strange. The attendance clipboard at the front of the room was already filled out before anyone arrived. There was no sign-in sheet, like in other study blocks. No teacher calling names. But every day, the paper on the podium had check marks next to names, printed neatly, precisely, and not just random entries. Every student assigned to the room that day had a mark, including Devin. The first day, he assumed someone had done it ahead of time. The second, he thought maybe it was digital and pre-printed. But on Wednesday, he arrived early, before the lights were fully on. Before Ms. Connors even got there, and the clipboard was already filled out, including his name. Checked off. He ran his finger over the ink, still fresh. It hadn't dried completely. It smudged slightly, which meant someone or something had signed it only minutes before. That night, he dreamed of the classroom, not as it was now, but older furniture rearranged, chalkboards instead of whiteboards, tall windows with yellowing blinds that breathed in and out slowly like lungs. In the dream, he sat in the front row, hands folded, and something behind him took attendance. It didn't speak aloud. It scratched with a pen, slowly, deliberately, like carving names into wood. The next day, he tried filming it. He left his phone on the podium, facing the clipboard, recording before anyone arrived. When he played the video back later, the footage skipped between frames, glitches, static, then a single, clear image. His name. Already checked, even though no one was on screen. By Friday, he started arriving earlier and earlier. But no matter how early he came, 10 minutes before 20. The clipboard was always marked. Once, he stood outside the door for half an hour, watching through the window. Nothing moved inside. The lights stayed off, but when he entered, the clipboard was filled, and his name was no longer just checked. It was circled. That same afternoon, he noticed something worse. The room no longer reflected sunlight. Other classrooms in the same hallway had warm, natural light coming in through the windows. Room 306 stayed gray, shadowed, like the sun didn't reach it, even when it should have. He asked Miss Connors about it. She shrugged. Weird, yeah. They say it was sealed after that gas leak years ago. Maybe the windows are tinted. But Devin found an old news clipping buried in the library's archive folders. There had never been a gas leak. Room 306 had been locked after a student went missing in 2012, disappeared during afternoon study hall, never found. No one officially linked it to the room, but the door had been sealed afterward. No explanation given. The next week, Devin arrived to find the seating rearranged. No one remembered moving them. The substitute in charge that day, a younger guy from admin, thought the students were messing around. But when he tried moving the desks back, the lights flickered and the power cut out for 5 seconds. When it returned, the desks had returned to the circle. That same day, Devin noticed something written on the last page of the attendance sheet. In small handwriting, barely visible. They only call you if you're already inside. He stopped attending study hall after that. But the clipboard didn't stop tracking him. 3 days after skipping, he got called into the office. The attendance software showed he'd been present all week. The system had logged him in manually, even though he'd never entered the building on Monday. He showed them screenshots of his absence. His homeroom teacher backed him up. The secretary frowned. "But you were in 306, she said, pointing to the signature log. You signed it yourself. He hadn't, not once. Just to be sure. He opened the door. It creaked slightly, louder than usual. The lights came on slowly, humming as they warmed. Dust motes danced in the air like falling ash. Everything felt colder. On the podium, a new sheet waited. Only one name listed. Devin Ruiz. Beside it, no checkmark, just a blank line and a pen placed neatly beside it. He turned to leave. The door closed behind him on its own. He never signed, but they did. The next morning, his parents received an email confirming his withdrawal. No one had submitted it, and room 306 was locked again, this time from the inside. No one liked being assigned late-night janitor duty, but Quinn took the extra shift without complaint. His school had a custodial student rotation program. Just a few seniors trusted to help out after hours for extra credit. Most kids avoided it because of the long halls and flickering lights, but Quinn didn't mind. He liked the quiet. No teachers, no classmates. Just the soft echo of his own footsteps and the buzz of ancient ceiling lights humming like insects overhead. That week, he was assigned to clean the second floor east wing, a stretch of classrooms no longer in regular use. The old science labs, the AV room with broken TV carts stacked in the back, and the dark hallway with peeling posters from a decade ago still hanging like forgotten memories. He didn't usually get spooked, but that wing always felt heavier, like the silence there had weight. On Wednesday night, near the end of his shift, Quinn heard something strange. He was emptying trash bins in room 214 when the ceiling speakers clicked on. Not suddenly, not sharply. They faded in like an old vinyl warming up. He froze, expecting to hear the voice of Principal Adams announcing some emergency drill, or maybe a maintenance test. But it wasn't Adams' voice. It was a student. Soft, young, calm. A boy's voice, speaking just above a whisper. Quinn couldn't make out the words at first, just the rhythm, like a list being read. He stepped into the hall. The voice came from every speaker at once, echoing down the corridor. There was no music, no static, just words, low and distant. Room 209, room 210, room 211. Quinn slowly walked toward the center stairwell, where the audio usually fed in strongest. As he passed under another speaker, the voice grew sharper, clearer. The list continued. Room 212, room 213. He stopped. The voice paused. Then it said, room 214. You shouldn't be there. Quinn's blood ran cold. That was the room he had just left. He stared up at the speaker above his head, waiting for more. Nothing, just the faint buzz of old wiring. Then the system clicked off, as quietly as it had come on. Silence returned. Too much silence. He waited a full minute before moving again. He walked fast back to the janitor closet, turned in his clipboard, and left without checking the last hallway. No one questioned him. The next morning, he told the school's secretary about the strange announcement. She smiled politely and said the PA system had been disconnected for scheduled repairs. There's no way it was broadcasting, she added. Quinn insisted he heard it. The secretary promised to report it. He could tell she wouldn't. That night, he was reassigned to the West Wing, near the gym and lockers. He felt relief. Until halfway through the shift, the system clicked on again. This time, it began mid-sentence. He still walks like you, talks like you. The voice was different. It sounded older, more broken, as if strained through a bad phone connection. Quinn dropped his mop and stared up at the ceiling. The lights above the gym flickered in sync with the speaker's low hum. Then came the voice again, clearer. Quinn is not where he should be. He froze. It had said his name. It wasn't shouting. It wasn't threatening. But it knew. And it kept going. He entered the hallway with the wrong reflection. Quinn backed into the locker room, heart pounding. The voice followed him, still calm, now louder. He doesn't belong on this side any more than silence. The power surged, a sharp blink in the lights, and the speaker cracked with static. Just for a moment, then everything went dead. Quinn called his dad to pick him up. He said he wasn't feeling well. He didn't return to the shift the next night. But the voice did. It came during lunch, not through the school's actual speakers, through the intercom in the library that had been disconnected for years. It whispered a list of names. Quinn sat 2 tables away. One student, Ellie Marsh, heard her name and laughed. "Creepy," she said, "like the building's haunted." Another student, quiet and pale, whispered, "That's not funny." They all heard it. The school tried to play it off. Old audio glitch, they claimed. Someone playing a prank through the backup system. But the library had no backup. That night, Quinn returned on his own. He wasn't sure why. Something inside him needed to hear it again. He told himself it was curiosity, that he just wanted proof, but part of him knew that wasn't the truth. He walked the 2nd floor in darkness, no lights, just the green glow of exit signs and the soft crunch of his footsteps on aging tile. Then the speakers came on. No preamble this time, no distortion, just a voice. His voice. His voice, clear, softer than his, maybe, but it was unmistakably him, Quinn. He didn't speak. The voice continued. "I remember when we used to walk past the trophy case and wonder what happened to all the names scratched out." Quinn stepped backward. The voice became quieter, not distant, but lower, like it was behind a wall. I didn't listen either. But now I remember what I forgot. A sudden breeze passed through the hallway, though every window was closed. The final words came through clearly. "You're almost ready." Then the system shut off. Quinn stood there for a long time, the silence like thick velvet pressing into his ears. When he walked past the main office to leave, he glanced at the intercom panel. It was glowing, but none of the lights on the board were connected to power. The next day, Quinn checked the school's year-end audio logs. He found an encrypted folder labeled Echo Archive. Inside, dozens of voice recordings, all labeled with dates. Some of them dated back before he was born. He clicked on the most recent one. The file was called Quinn_final.wav. He hit play and heard himself say, quietly, "Don't pick up when I call next." The vending machine gave Denny something extra. Kay had bought the same snack, sour cream chips, every day that semester. Until Tuesday. Along with the crinkled bag, something else slid into the slot. A folded piece of yellow paper, torn at the edges, slightly damp, like it had been hidden there for a long time. At first, he thought it was trash, but curiosity got the better of him. He unfolded it. Written in uneven, almost childlike blocked letters were 6 words. "Don't go to the 3rd floor." Denny looked around. No one was near the vending machine. The hallway was quiet, fluorescent lights flickering slightly above the lockers. It didn't feel like a prank. Still, he shrugged it off and stuffed the note into his backpack. His next class was on the 2nd floor, anyway. Later that day, around 4th period, the front office called him down. His mom had dropped off a refill of his inhaler. Nothing urgent, but the secretary handed it over and paused. "You've got a free period now, right?" Denny nodded. "There's a cart that needs returning upstairs," she said, tapping her clipboard. "3rd floor, science wing. You mind helping?" The words landed with a strange echo. 3rd floor. The note immediately came back to mind. He forced a laugh and said, "Sure." The elevator was out of service, as always. The staircase creaked as he climbed. Everything about the 3rd floor felt ... off. The hallway was dim. The windows here were tinted green for sun control, giving everything a sickly glow. The science labs at the end were dark. No students, just silence. Denny pushed the cart toward the supply room. The wheels squeaked with every bump in the tile. He hated how loud it was. When he reached the door, he paused. Something was taped over the room number. A sheet of paper, written in the same handwriting as the note. "You went anyway." His chest tightened. He turned to look down the hallway. It was empty. No footsteps, no voices. Just a distant hum, like an old fridge running behind a wall. The lights flickered. When he turned back to the door, the paper was gone. There was no time to react. The doorknob turned on its own. It creaked open. Not the kind of dark where lights are off, the kind that feels thick like water. Like something is waiting inside of it, holding its breath. He stepped back, but something reached out. Not a hand, not a shape, just a feeling. Like the room pulled slightly toward him. Then the voice came. From inside the room, low and calm. "Leave now, Denny." It knew his name. He didn't remember running, but he ended up at the stairwell. The cart was gone. So was the box. He hadn't realized he'd dropped them. The next day, he checked the vending machine again. This time, a bottle of water came out, and another note. 2 more warnings. His throat was dry. At lunch, he showed the notes to his friend Alex. Alex shrugged. You probably wrote these without realizing. You do that sleep doodle thing, remember? Denny didn't answer. That night, he had a dream. He was walking the 3rd floor, alone, and every door was open. Inside, each room was a desk, and sitting behind each desk, a version of himself. Older, thinner, quiet. All of them were staring at him. One by one, they whispered, "Don't ignore it again." He woke up, gasping, his fingers clutching at a paper that wasn't there. The next morning, no snack, only a note. Final warning. Stay out of room 317. There was no room 317. His school only went up to 316. He checked the map online. 317 didn't exist. But by the time he got to school, a new paper was taped to the stairwell door. The handwriting was familiar. 317 is open now. The hallway was empty when he reached the 3rd floor again. Everything looked darker than it should have been. At the end of the hall, where the janitor's closet used to be, was a door labeled 317. No one else saw it. He asked Alex about it later, and Alex said, "That's a wall, dude. There's no room there. The door was only for him, and it was open." He never told anyone what was inside. But he stopped eating from the vending machine after that, and he's never missed a warning since.